opinions expressed in this show belong to the person expressing them. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of Rancher or any other entity.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Cloud Native, the show that shares with you news and interesting content related to Kubernetes, Cloud Native, and other nifty technology. My name is Adrian Goins, and I am excited to be here with you today. Old title, still, whatever. I'm excited to be here with you today. If you're watching live, consider following or subscribing to the channel. And if you're watching a replay, please also give the video a thumbs up so that YouTube shares it with other people. You can join the free community site and the Discord server. Links to that are in the video description. And that's actually where live chat happens with a relay bot that does a bunch of stuff. And it's just absolute madness. So let's take a moment to say hello to those who are joining us today. And I saw that it's already just been crazy. Good morning, Smalls, Mac, Peter Keach. Oh, it's Groundhog Day. Happy Groundhog Day, everyone. Frank, Ian, Nuno, Ariel, Bala. So many of you here today. Scrolling past all the gifts. Hello, WifeBot, of course. WifeBot. It's nice to see you. Mladen is here as well. And so are all the gifts. Matthew Cooper, hello. And anyone who's watching from YouTube or Twitch, hello as well. Welcome to the show. Let's dive. WifeBot says it's nice to see me as well. That's good. And we even have sounds today. We're so fancy. We're so upgraded. No zombies. The zombies are going to be here in about an hour. And hopefully this is the last week of zombies. We're hoping. Wow, this is an old teleprompter thing. There we go, A/B test. So the collector bots have gathered candidates for the show, and now that the show is running less often, there's a lot more good content. I was just finding stuff last night and like pasting it to Shipwreck, being like, oh my gosh, this is great. Trufflebot has rated them from 1 to 5 coffees corresponding to how interesting he thinks they are. He'll post them one at a time in Discord. Anyone watching live can rate them, and your votes are used to train the machine learning model that chooses content for the show. So join the live voting channel and vote. Let me jump over there and see what we are starting with today. I'm not 100% sure that the QR code thing is going to work. It was giving me some trouble before the show, which is why you don't see it over there right now, but maybe. If it doesn't, whatever. I don't even know if Trufflebot's going to work today. Looks like he did, and looks like that QR code, where is it? Right there is actually correct. So you can snap that with your phone and it'll take you to the link of the thing or the whatever that we're talking about. So here we've got the continuing saga of installing Flatcar Container Linux on remote bare metal servers from Hashicorp. We've had these on before. They continue to show up. They're still extremely valuable. And this is the next one. Now, in this, he talks about how to set up a Pixie boot server, and HTTP so that you can use the ignition configuration instruction set that Flatcar needs. If you're building a multi-node Kubernetes cluster, well, then you need multiple nodes. And you probably want some of them to be, what are we calling them now? Servers? Whatever. You probably want some of them to be authoritative, and you probably want others to be less authoritative, in which case you need different configuration files for the different things. And he goes through everything about how to set that up. I used to love building Pixie servers and remote booting stuff with Kickstart and just the ability to have like an empty shell of a server and plug it in, put it on the network and go live. And then a few minutes later, it's like some actually useful thing. And in the world of the cloud, I feel like this is a skill that is dying. People think, oh, Pixie boots, oh, it's so difficult. Oh, you need physical infrastructure. God forbid, physical infrastructure. Who would ever have that? But the truth of the matter is the cloud, like while it's useful and stuff, there are lots and lots of data centers that have physical infrastructure that people use, not just cloud providers. Most of Wall Street runs physical infrastructure. Look at the success of Equinix. Equinix builds data centers. And lots of people have stuff there. So knowing how to do stuff in the Pixie universe is, thank you, Mac. I like saying Pixie instead of PXE. Anyway, knowing how to do stuff in the Pixie universe is a valuable skill, and understanding the internals of machines that you're building and how to bend them to your will, that'll never do you wrong. So he goes through how to build all of this stuff, ignition, blah, blah, blah. And in the next article, he'll actually talk about how to install K3s into your new remotely booted thing. Now understand, in order to be able to remote boot stuff, you actually have to, it's not entirely remote. Like somebody has to be there to physically plug the things in and tell you what the MAC address is. And you have to be able to SSH into the Pixie server to configure it so that it knows the hex definition of the IP address and the MAC and so on. So obviously there's still going to be somebody there. But the nice thing is that that person can be a lower level person who just racks and stacks and cables and gets on the phone. And then you, sitting in your high tower, can boom, breathe life into things. Anyway. This article does not tell you how to do the K3s part. So that's fine. His next article will, but just in case you're super, super, super ambitious, here's an article on how to install Kubernetes on Flatcar Linux using kubeadm. I include this mostly, I mean, we've had Siraj on here before. I like his articles, and I include this mostly just for like kind of rounding out the story. Because honestly, installing Kubernetes with kubeadm on Flatcar is mostly the same as installing it anywhere else. And I almost took it off the show because of that. It's like, set up networking. Yeah, okay, whatever. Download binaries and start kubelet. Okay. Update Flatcar if you didn't already. Initialize kubeadm, install your CNI, generate your worker config, and ta-da, you've got Kubernetes. Still, between those two articles, rock and roll. Yesterday, somebody was in the Rancher user Slack and was asking if Rancher's logging operator in Rancher 2.5, which is actually the BanzaiCloud logging operator, supported Loki from Grafana. And somebody was nice enough to reply with yes, and posted a link to the documentation. I thought it was super apropos that also yesterday, Liquid Reply, really? Your company's called Liquid Reply. Wow, you need somebody to work on your logo because 100% guarantee that says Reply Liquid. Anyway, you should move the liquid above the reply. Top down, left, right. Unless you're from a culture that doesn't do it that way. But anyway, whatever, it's in English, so we can assume. Yesterday, whoever this company is, Liquid Reply, created an article on how to use the BanzaiCloud logging operator with Loki. What? How awesome is that? I sent this back to the person in the Rancher user Slack, and I'm bringing it here because honestly, the BanzaiCloud logging operator, while it's amazing, super annoys me because I'm gonna put on my rant hat because even with Rancher, it's super easy to deploy and it's super powerful and it's super, and I'm gonna keep saying super until somebody comes in from the other room and smacks me with a super stick. But you've got it. It's like, there you go. BanzaiCloud logging operator. Now what? Oh, now I should go read the docs. So for all of its ease and flexibility and power, you still got to go read some docs. You got to understand their concepts about flows and inputs and outputs and blah, and how to connect it to your stuff. Just read this article and you'll be up and running. So this talks about installing it, which you can also just do with Rancher by clicking a button. Yay! Creating the logging system. It specifically talks about how to do stuff with Loki. And so on and so forth, actually getting it up and running, bringing stuff, putting it and sending it and doing whatever. Now, this is part of a series that they've created. Oh, everything's in a GitHub repo. Hooray. This is part of a series that they're doing on monitoring your multi-cluster environments. And so the first post is found there. This is the second post. And the third post, which will be released on the 1st of March, is about how you can set up and configure Loki in a distributed way. Sounds good, right? So there you go. BanzaiCloud, logging operator. Thank you, bots. Thank you, bots, for being like almost as creepy as Google and somehow knowing what it is that I'm thinking. Okay. This popped up yesterday. I fired this over to Shipwreck and I was like, dude, you ever seen this? Like, it's pretty ambitious. They're like, oh yeah, let's just get rid of Kubernetes. We don't need that. That's old. That's like so 2020. And we should just throw it out with everything else we did in 2020. And we should start using Monk. Wow. I mean, talk about like big ambitions. So I fired it over to Shipwreck and I was like, you ever heard of this? And he's like, it seems like a modern Heroku. And I thought that was an interesting summary. And basically that's what it is. These are the ones that say battle tested. Yeah, these guys also talk about something being battle tested. People need to understand what battle tested means. Battle tested means it went to battle. Guarantee you, unless you're working in like edge deployments for the US military, your stuff is not battle tested. But probably, you know, you ran it for a while and maybe it crashed and maybe it didn't. But it sounds good. Battle tested. Brr. Stack orchestration is the new game in town because we said it is. Now, I don't want to talk too much smack about them because I think that what they built is actually cool. It's kind of like you want to run your own Heroku on your own infrastructure, but not like the PaaS type things that are trying to do that. They've got templates where you can stack stuff together and wire it, and they've got a whole resource hub for being able to do things. And look at these 300 or more open source components. I don't even know what Chainlink is. I like finding things where I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. What's that? And go and look at it. I'm like, I totally don't need that, but I wish I did. Oh, somebody beeped at me. I bet somebody's using this. Scroll. Wow, pass all the GIFs. Oh, Mac. Mac says pass is so passe. Okay, I'm leaving that channel again. So we got all of these things. It's got its own scripting language. It actually seems pretty powerful. And their pricing structure starts out, for free. So single cloud, GCP, AWS, or Azure. They're working on implementing solutions for Alibaba and DigitalOcean and whoever the cloud du jour is. But then when you get past that, the first thing I saw was 2 cents per runtime hour. Okay. I don't know if that's per system. Well, I didn't know if that was per system because it also talks about, the pro level is for 41 to 400 CPUs. From the starter level, if you don't register, you actually get 10 CPUs of credit for running your stuff. I don't really know how they calculate that, but if you just create a free account, then you can get up to 40 CPUs on a single cluster. Okay. And then beyond that, it's 2 cents per runtime hour. So then they've got some other stuff here, and then you can calculate some things. And then what does charge per runtime hour mean? Well, Monk is not a managed service, and it's provisioned on your own machines or cloud provider. Super cool. Therefore, when you deploy your workload with Monk, you're being charged an hourly fee per each machine that Monk is orchestrating, starting at 3 machines. So it's actually 6 cents to start per runtime hour. Okay. And then what happens if I miss my payment? And here's where I decided, don't take this with a grain of salt. Take this with one of those giant deer salt licks or the cow salt lick. Come on, a backpack full of salt. Because if you miss your monthly payment for the previous month's usage, we'll send you a reminder. Then we're going to send a horse head. You should ensure to make a payment within 2 weeks. Otherwise, you won't be able to update or change your existing cluster that runs in your infrastructure if there are more than 3 nodes. You will also lose access to the premium templates that you've bought, and you won't be able to buy new ones until payment has been made. But don't worry, you'll still be able to access your data and review your configuration. And that's when I decided that while it seems really cool, this is a giant plate of vendor lock-in to the point where, if you don't, what happens if you want to stop using them? Locked out of your cluster, peace out! Thank you so much for all your money. We'll be over here waiting for you to pay us some more. So if modern version of Heroku includes draconian, authoritative, dictatorial, martial law, go for Monk. What I'm hoping, and you're like, well, why did you put it on the show if you're just gonna end with that? I'm hoping that they realize that this is not actually friendly and that they find a way to sell people the service for the time that they're using it. And when they're done with it, give them a way out that leaves them functional and in a happy place and not hating you. Don't strong arm them into continuing to pay you. So I hope that they figure that out when people are like, we're not going to pay you anymore, and that they modify their terms of service. I'm going to rate that a 3 because while I think it's interesting, well, there you go. So I'm looking forward to seeing when I tweet about it on tomorrow and they come and look and they're like, yay, we got reviewed, to see what they say. Next up. No, don't click vote yet. Click the thing. Huh, yeah, ArgoCD, Vault plugin from IBM. Hello, IBM. Possibly Red Hat. Hello. Wolf in sheep's clothing. Wolf in wolf's clothing. Platypus in duck clothing. I don't know. I've been playing with GitOps. I looked at ArgoCD for a hot second and I decided I wanted to go with Flux, mostly so I could just copy paste from OneDrop's repo and learn that way. But I've run into some things with Flux that I don't like. Primarily in that I deployed everything as a single customization out of Flux system, so it scans the whole repo and it just deployed stuff. That's cool, but I did it with the default of prune equals true. So now I want to break it out into different customizations, and to do that, it's going to delete everything and then reinstall it, which is absolutely terrifying. And so I'm finding that my GitOps experience is fraught with danger. And I wonder if it would have been any different with ArgoCD. Another problem, and actually I was having a conversation with somebody about this in Discord in the GitOps channel yesterday. ArgoCD would, so there's a problem that I have with Flux, with like, it's a race condition. It wants to install, I told it install cert manager and then install lots of things that create certificates. But when it does the whole compile it and then run a dry run through it with customize, it figures out, oh, the CRDs aren't installed yet, so I don't know how to make a certificate, so it fails the whole thing. Apparently Argo can solve this with, what were they called? It's not streams, they were called something, waves or something like that. Yeah, sync waves. So they can do sync waves, or you can tell it to ignore validation failures based on missing CRDs, because they're probably going to come in, and just let that fail on its own and then eventually reconcile on its own. So yeah, that's cool. I totally kind of wish that I had that. And then this also popped up. This enables you to, all right, so GitOps, you're putting all your stuff out in a Git repo, including all your secrets, which is bad. So there's sealed secrets, there's SOPs, there's solutions to encrypt stuff with public key encryption where you can encrypt it, and then the private key is already on the server in a controller, so it can only be decrypted there. That's great. Now you can put your secrets out into Git. But what if you're already using Vault? That brings us back to this. This is a way to annotate a secret configuration within the Git repository that when Argo goes to deploy it, it will figure out this syntax that you've created, and it will go to Vault and it'll look to path to secret, and then it will take this key and set it to the password value. So it goes and looks all of that up, and then it assembles it before it applies it to the cluster. I thought that was kind of neat. I like Vault. I really like Vault. I don't use it very much anymore because I don't do very much with AWS, but Vault, my favorite thing to do with Vault was to create short-lived AWS IAM tokens for videos or when doing demos of stuff, because then I don't have to care if somebody finds it later, because boop, Vault just deleted it. So cool. What's going on in the live chat? You guys are awful quiet. I haven't heard my name. Just more GIFs. GIFs about Vault. Okay. This is for my friend Shipwreck, who loves Python. So I'm going to talk about Rust. He actually loves Rust. He went with Rust over Go, and Rust seems kind of like, it's kind of where I think things are going. Haha, that was for you, Mac. Rust, okay, I don't know Go and I don't know Rust, but I know Python, which is why I make jokes about Python, because, well, if you watch a previous show, you know why. It's funny. Apparently, Rust doesn't have a functional GUI library, or at least it didn't. And so I found this article where this guy is like ranting about it. And uh-oh, I heard my name. Hello. Shipwreck. Mac liked my pun. All right, so if you're working with Rust, basically this is if you're working with Rust and you're looking for something for a GUI, here's an article that talks about all of the, what are they called? Crates? I think they're called crates. All of the crates that are available for GUI support within Rust. TLDR, not a whole lot there, but better than it used to be. So you've got this nice list here of everything, you know, things that are working, things that might be working but couldn't try, and things that just straight up suck. So Druid, and then it's like one of those really long articles. Can you see that scroll bar up? Where is it? No, it's over here, right there. See that? Yeah, it's one of those articles that's like, woo, really long, longer than a sock. And talks about all the stuff that's available. So if you're into Rust, there you go. I don't know. Probably if you're into Rust, you're like, dude, that was from December. Don't talk about that. Somebody sent me a thing the other day about like a one-liner to turn any Python script into a GUI. Really excited because I actually wrote like a whole ncurses interface because I'm so old school. I wrote like a fake ncurses interface to the Python code that allows me to like pre-process the ML model output stuff and train it and things. So I have like just like single key things. But yeah, GUI. GUIs open the door to whatever's on the other side of it. Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh, this one from Poobadoo. Poobadoo has a bad neighbor. His neighbor apparently slams doors, punches the walls, and stomps around. And so he decided to channel his anger into creating this is so cool, into creating a serverless application that logs the activity of his neighbor. So he can just like have it on his phone and be like, boom, door slam, boom, wall punch, boom, footsteps, so that he can begin to collect a paper trail for filing a complaint. Apparently his neighbor is, I don't know how you say derogatory things and, well, whatever. Apparently his neighbor is not a nice person. And so he not only wrote this thing, so it's DynamoDB and Lambda and stuff, but like posted it all up so that we can see it. We had a neighbor in Santiago, lived across the street, who had a dog, a German Shepherd. And unfortunately in Chile, they don't take care of their dogs. So one of the standard things is like, if you have a house and you want to keep it safe, you put a dog in the front yard. So he had this German Shepherd chained on a relatively short chain in the front of his house all day during the summer while they were away. You know, they'd go to work or whatever. No water, no shade, big long shaggy coat. And this dog would just not only bark at everything that went by, but he would get really uncomfortable during the day and he would just basically start screaming all day long. So we went over there one day and like gave him a bowl of water, and my neighbor came across the street after he came home yelling at me about, don't touch my dog, don't you whatever. And so that started the thing. So I ended up with a video camera in my window just recording his dog barking all day, every day, and reported him to the local municipalidad, like the local police people who don't care. Because in Chile, dogs bark. That's literally what they told us. They're like, dogs bark. Deal with it. And culturally, it's interesting because it's not noise to them. Like the sound of a dog barking is either comforting or just goes right past. Yeah, that's my story. I won't tell you how it ended up with that neighbor, but let's just suffice to say he moved. Anyway, this will be the last one before the tool of the day. Oh, this one's also really cool. Okay. Creating a killer GitHub profile. I did not know that in July of last year, GitHub changed their structure so that you can create a profile level repository and then use the README to add some personality to your page. So you can see the little thing scrolling by there, kind of, it's a little small. Now it's bigger and same number of pixels. So Braden created a really nice detailed README and then was kind enough to share with us how we could do that for ourselves. So if you have a GitHub page and you want something about yourself that's just a little bit less than boring, and you're looking for something to do on a Friday afternoon when you're really just trying not to do any more work, then there's this. Oh, I heard a beep. Ah, Max shared the Python GUI tool. Thank you. Yeah, GUI, that was it. Right, GUI. What a great name. Unlike Gleek. Do you guys... Somebody posted a link to a thing called Gleek that was... it might make it on the show in the future. I submitted it to the model. So it's like a diagramming tool using just texts. We've seen those before, MinGrammer and other stuff. But Gleek... So I posted that companies need to run their product names through the Urban Dictionary before they decide on them. Because Gleek, in American urban slang, is this thing that you can do with your tongue that puts pressure on the salivary gland underneath your tongue so that you can spit a stream of spit. This is like really popular with fifth graders, or at least it was when I was in fifth grade. That's called gleeking. Don't name your product after that. Like... No, just don't do it. Okay. No. We didn't shoot that dog with an airsoft rifle. He was just a bad. The dog was fine. We called him Scooby. The dude was just a bad dude, and he had done some stuff to anger some people that besides us, and those people came to his house one day and expressed their discontent, and they moved. And they blamed us, but we had nothing to do with it. It was just super coincidental. Okay, so we got to do a tool of the day, which means I got to get out of here. Which means I got to get out of this live chat channel thing. Anyway, yeah, the GitHub profile thing, I think that's really cool. Today's show had an average rating of 4 coffees. And that takes us to... Kate's Mirror. This is from darkbit.io. This fine company, Darkbit. Not so loving the name. But whatever. You know, there's only so many names that we can assemble out of things. So Darkbit, they're a security company. I don't know why it took me to their page there. So they're a security company. Cloud native security built for your business. That's like my military voice or my like raw serious voice. Somebody once took offense at it. If you ever hear me like use that voice when I'm talking about your stuff, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just being very serious. Because whatever. So move fast, fix things. They have deep expertise in doing lots of stuff related to cloud native security. And one of the things that they built is this, which they just published. And of course, down here, this is a working proof of concept, super alpha. Don't use it. Gonna like, puppies will explode. It will take an entire Kubernetes cluster and pull all of its configuration out and then reassemble it in a Docker container that's running etcd and kubeAPI server. So basically it takes your whole cluster and then makes it available for poking and prodding, not for actually running workloads, but for poking and prodding offline inside of a Docker container. And they're using this for high fidelity offline review of Kubernetes clusters as part of their cloud and Kubernetes security consulting services offerings and stuff. I don't, okay. There are things that you can do to assess where people have been in their lives. Anytime you see anybody who voluntarily chooses to have something listen on port 31337 or 1337, they're old school, maybe, or at least they're trying to pretend that they're old school. Yeah, there's a message there. Some of you understand what it is. So I love seeing it. It just always makes me laugh. Anyway, I thought that this was a really neat way to, oh, and then of course you got the Honk reference. So they're old school and new school. I still like what they've built. I think that this is a great way to like snatch something, bring it down and probe it, which can be used for white hat and other colored hat services. But regardless, it's just a neat way to leverage the tools that we have available to us for doing stuff. So that's it. Darkbit's Kate's Mirror. And with that, you know what time it is. Time for me to figure out what button to push. It's time for us to get on with our days. Thank you so much for joining me today. Links to everything I talk about on the show go up in the free community site at community.cncn.io. After the show ends, come join us. Community members get early access to links, video replay, and other exclusive content. And I'm posting more articles over there. I posted about Habitica yesterday. If you haven't seen that, go read it. Come join the Habitica Guild. I'm going to try and integrate that because it makes doing menial, boring tasks a lot more fun. If you have something you would like me to consider for the show, post it in the community site or the show's suggestions channel on Discord. That's actually probably the better place to do it. Have a great day, everyone. Keep learning, and I will see you in the next show. Stay caffeinated.